Hi everybody, Sophia here from the Prenatal Snug, and I'm super excited today to be joined by a dad-to-be. His name is James, and he has his very own, which makes him sound like a very big grown-up, his very own Instagram account called The Honourable Father. And I stumbled on James a few weeks ago when he sent me a message saying, "Hi, I'm a new dad-to-be, and I'd love to get more dads involved in the conversation, more birth partners involved in the conversation, and the antenatal support that provides to the mum-to-be." So good morning, James. Super excited you're here.
Hello, Sophia. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm so happy to be talking to you because I'm just so keen to get more and more birth partners involved. And here you are, not just kind of sneaking in the door saying, "Talk to me," but going big and bold on Instagram and saying, "I'm new to all this. How does it work? And who's talking about what?" So well done.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
What was some of the inspiration behind that account, James? Did you just wake up one day and go, "I'm going to create an Instagram account"? How did all of that come about?
Well, being a first-time dad is really exciting for me because it's something really new to me. So I feel like there's a club that exists, but you've never had the membership because no one's ever invited you to join. And then suddenly you finally get this membership and everyone welcomes you with open arms. And I'm there walking into this building for the first time with wide eyes open, and all this information is just coming at me, and you should do it this way, you should do it that way. So for me, well, actually, life before pregnancy was us, going on holidays and doing things together and seeing friends, and, not caring about the time or energy that we have, and all those sort of typical things that you would expect of a typical couple, I suppose. So at first, I was very shocked because we were very casual about, getting pregnant, or Steph getting pregnant, about it all. So we were actually in the Lake District when we found out. So that vacation actually turned into a huge discussion, which we actually have real fond memories of now. But to me, like I said, it's like a whole new world, and I was quite clueless before because I've never had a reason to know about pregnancy or birth. And I questioned why I've never, in my 35 years, have ever come across all this info in my daily life when I have such a good network of friends and family who have had babies and talk very openly with me about lots of different things. So I asked myself the question, why have they never talked about all of this in more detail? And when I found out that Steph was pregnant, I was directed to a midwife on Instagram, and I started following her. And that's all where it started to kick off, really. I started searching for other dad profiles and found that there were very few. So then I thought, why not start my own? Particularly as I'm at the very beginning of my journey, and there's no shame in saying that you don't know about it. Why would I know about it? And that's the reason why I set up my Instagram account.
I love what you just said there, that you've suddenly got membership to this exclusive club, and you feel like you're being welcomed with arms wide open, because a lot of birth partners, particularly at this stage, because you're not too far away from birth at this point. Well, Steph isn't too far away from birth at this point. A lot of people can feel really intimidated by it. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how to do it. And you're just going, "I'm here and I feel the welcome and I'm ready to fully absorb that welcome." That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I think you're going to be not just an honourable father, but already an amazing father, because you're leading, and it takes a brave person to be able to put their hands up and say, "I don't know." And at the moment, a lot of people just don't know what they don't know until, as you say, until they have a reason to find out about pregnancy, to find out about birth. They have no reason to consider it. It's like when you go to buy a new car, never will you kind of Google BMW or Audi or Saab more than when you're trying to buy one. The rest of the time, they're just driving on past, and you're just like, yeah, it's just another car going past. So one of the things that you mentioned when we had a chat earlier was that you've been blown away by the kind of support that you've got through this Instagram account. So it's not just "Oh, great account, man, thumbs up." It's like really lovely things are coming out of it, isn't there?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I set up my Instagram account for a number of key reasons, actually. And the first one was to find out more about birthing and pregnancy and parenthood. But it's also to get other dads to speak out, because there were very few profiles that I came across. So I wanted other dads to speak out and give knowledge to other fathers about fatherhood eventually, when I'm going through it myself, or as I'm going through it. And another reason is to bring parents closer together, because too many times we hear mums, should do this and dads should do that. But in modern society, it shouldn't really be us versus them in terms of mothers and fathers, because parents are in the same journey together. And so it's about doing the best that you can through the hard times and embracing the good times together. So we should be together as a team. And the last reason is to show support for my partner, Steph. We are in a very loving relationship, and I want to show her that I am there, and that I can do things without her having to ask me to do things. So since starting this Instagram, I've met so many people. I'm receiving countless messages, all of which have been really, really positive. I've learned so many new things. I've seen really graphic images in some pictures and videos, but this is reality. So now I feel more prepared. I've noticed that there are more mums and midwives than dads on Instagram, but the small percentage of dads that I have been in contact with have been absolutely fantastic.
And something else that you mentioned to me earlier that I also really love, it's a admirable quality to have. You said that you've had so much support and so many recommendations or pieces of information and wisdom shared with you through Instagram, that you thought, if I share all of this with Steph, she's going to feel really overwhelmed. So you've almost kind of just edited a little bit in your mind and thought, what does she really need to know right now? And obviously you know her well. You're the father of her baby and an amazing couple. So tell me a little bit about your thought process between what was shared with you, and then what you decided to go on and kind of share with Steph.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you've just said, actually. I mean, I know Steph very well, and she knows me very well. So I know what will make her feel a bit overwhelmed, and I know what will make her worry. But at the same time, I can filter all the stuff that I hear through, Instagram and through our NCT classes, through other dads, through my friends. I can filter it all, and before we get into bed at night, we will have a discussion on what we learned today, and it will be relevant to what we're going through at the time. So that's another way of supporting her, really, is to not overwhelm her with all the videos I've seen, all the pain that people have gone through labor. It's not really about that for me. It's about being realistic, but also coming up with a solution, or a proposed solution or suggestion as to what we can do to make it suitable for us.
Yeah. And again, the support that you are giving her will make all of that pain lessen, because the more that you give her that love, the more that you give her that strength, that courage, and that you're there for her in what is one of her most vulnerable but also intense moments, the more you get that oxytocin and all that love, which I'm sure you've learned lots about, flowing back through her body. And that's what turns down the kind of pain receptors and increases the feelings of love and comfort and security. And all of that is also what will help Steph to go on to have an even better birth. So how supported does Steph feel in all of this? Is she kind of like, James, what on earth is going on? Like, I did not expect this.
She's been amazingly relaxed throughout the whole pregnancy so far. In her first trimester was quite difficult for her, just with the nausea and just feeling like a brick has hit her every morning. But after that, in the second trimester and the third trimester, it's just been created this environment at home where she can feel relaxed. She's focusing on her work, probably a little bit too much, in my opinion, but that's what she likes to focus on. She gets rest, she goes for walks, she still exercises. So she's very active, and yeah, at this moment in time, she's 37 weeks pregnant. So yeah, she's a little bit uncomfortable at night. But I'm blown away, if I'm honest with you, about just how little she complains, and just getting on with it. And that's what I want from a partner too, just someone who deals with things very well.
Well, it sounds like you're doing so much and giving so much emotional support. She probably has a lot less to complain about than many pregnant women at this point.
Yes, I take away the things that she doesn't need to think about. For example, I will cook her meals every day. I'll make sure that she's eaten her lunch. I'll make sure that she's, if she hasn't gone for a walk for the day, I know that makes her feel a little bit worse at the end of the night. So I will encourage her to go. So I just serve as a reminder for these little things that makes her feel better. And for me, I'm happy to do that. It's no skin off my nose, really. I've got my life and I do my things, but I can also add this into my life, into my schedule, and it's not a problem at all.
And where does this detailed kind of organization come from to other people? And you might not think that sounds detailed at all, but to other people, sometimes just putting a meal on the table at the end of the day is the last thing that they're even thinking about. And yeah, without getting into nutrition and pregnancy, but where does this level of ability to care and deliver, not just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we did this? You've got a really good kind of meticulous attention to detail from what I'm hearing. Where does that come from, do you think?
I'm not sure where it comes from. I think if I'm going to hazard a guess, it would probably be just through education and knowledge and experience through work. Because in all those scenarios of studying, of being at work, and organizing your social life, there's still that element of organizing it. So why are we not organizing our home life as well? And I think that's just where it comes from. I like to back up my words with my actions. That's kind of like my philosophy. Let's not just keep talking about it. I'd rather just actually do it. So that's where it comes from, I think.
Lovely. And how does it feel to watch Steph throughout this pregnancy? You said there she's had a kind of tricky-ish first semester, bits of nausea, feeling tired, and then the second semester, which is known as the happy trimester, because you're just in that middle zone where everything feels a bit more safe and secure, but you don't have to think too hard about what comes next. And now that you're, just a few weeks away from birth, how have you felt watching Steph and watching Steph's body just, create and hold this amazing life that is both of you?
Yes, I think the more we learn about birthing, I think the more that I've become just astonished, really, by how the female body changes. And we've learned to love our bump. I mean, at the beginning, it's probably very difficult for women to think that their body's going to change so dramatically in such a short period of time. And then I imagine my body and how I would feel if it changed in such a short period of time, and suddenly I felt like 2 or 3 stone heavier all of a sudden. But at the end of the day, it's science working at its finest, and it's crazy to think that this bump just gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it's so big, and then it will disappear and go back to your previous body, hopefully your previous body, or with some work and stuff. So I just find it fascinating more than anything that there's a human growing inside someone.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch, isn't it? Do you find yourself sometimes sitting there thinking, oh, there's like 3 of us here?
Yes, I mean, I read to the bump every night, and yes, we have a cat as well, so that's kind of our family, really, and we always refer to it's us two and our cat and our baby here in the room at the moment. So we treat both of them like 2 people almost.
Perfect. And what are you reading to your baby, if I can ask?
Yeah, just short stories, really. It's another way to support Steph. So she falls asleep very quickly if I read to the baby, because it feels like I'm reading to her as well. So I want her to sleep and I want her to rest. And I started looking online for 5-minute stories. And I found this website called Storyberries. And I've never heard of it. No one's ever mentioned it to me before. I just Googled it and came across it. And I thought, oh, this is quite good, actually, because these stories are only about 5 minutes long. There's so many of them, and I can just pick one, when I get into bed, and off I go, really. I read, and and Steph falls asleep, and then I go to sleep straight after. It seems to work.
And that's perfect too, because your baby's getting so used to the sound of your voice. And so that's an automatic bond and a relaxation. And I presume if the things that you're reading are kind of baby appropriate, which I'm sure they will be, then it's lovely as well. Maybe you'll get a boy or a girl in 20 years saying to you, I've got a strange memory about this story. And you'll think, yes.
Well, that's actually my theory. My theory is, and I don't know where this comes from, is that I will have a really intelligent baby if I read to them at a very young age, before they're even born. And I don't know if it's true or not, but if it's not true, then there's no harm in it. If it's true, then absolutely, that's great time spent.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll never have a conversation that goes like this. I thought you'd been more intelligent because I read to you in the room. So whatever happens is whatever happens, but you know that you've given with heart and soul, and that's the most important part, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So the gender is an interesting one too, because I know that you have an envelope with the baby's gender in there, but you haven't opened it. Not even been tempted to steam it open when Steph's not there?
Well, yes, I've definitely been tempted. We had a disagreement about this because I wanted to open the envelope. I didn't even want an envelope. I wanted to find out, whereas Steph didn't want to find out. And we agreed to have an envelope, so we know that the answer is there.
Yeah.
But we still haven't actually come to an agreement with what we're going to do with it. So I've decided that the less I talk about it, the better, because I'm not thinking about it.
Okay.
And now it's got to the point where it's 37 weeks now anyway. I've got potentially 2 to 3 weeks or even less than that.
Yeah.
And I'll find out. So I've come this far. What is the point of opening it now is what I feel.
Absolutely. I think I'd be secretly tempted when Steph was in labour to just wander out and be like, I was right with my prediction. But we won't keep talking about it because I know that you don't want to. You don't want to. So that wouldn't be fair. So I've seen on Instagram lots of the things that you've done, which have really made me smile, because so often when I meet first-time dads and new dads, they're really apprehensive about what to expect. You can get very serious about it very quickly, and everything is like, is it safe, and what's recommended, and when do we do this? And you've also had a lot of fun with it. So you've been like swaddling Steph like a giant burrito in bed, which made me think of cold January mornings. And then you've just been doing all those fun things like labeling everything in the hospital bag. You know exactly where every single thing is in your birth bag, and that's lovely as well. How much fun have you kind of brought into this pregnancy together?
Yes, so fun is definitely part of what we do. Fun to us anyway, because we enjoy all those holidays before and going away and socializing with friends and all those sorts of things. And then obviously lockdown has hit, and all that was taken away. So Steph's pregnancy is slightly different in the sense that we wanted a baby shower and that didn't happen, because we wanted people actually there. We didn't want a virtual one. We wanted to do a baby moon, but that never happened either. So, that's out of our control. And if it's out of our control, there's really nothing we can do about it. So the alternative is, what can we bring to our home to make things more fun? And I actually looked up painting. This was Steph's idea, actually, painting the bump with paints. So I actually ordered a set, but it never actually arrived, and then it went out of stock. So I looked up alternative things, and there was a cast of the belly. So I thought, I'd give it a go. There's a few bad reviews online about them, but do you know what? I'm just going to give it a go. And if it goes really horribly wrong, then at least we would have tried and we would have had fun trying. So we just wanted to bring other elements of fun, really. We've done a photo shoot where I was the photographer for the day, and I bought this tripod with this light, very amateur, actually. But we had fun with it, and I directed her with all these poses and things like that, and she became the model for the day, and with the casting, it's all about her, really. I wanted to center our fun on her. But I must admit, I'd like to do more fun things, or would have liked to have done more fun things over what we have done. And because I've got lots of time because of lockdown, and we're not going out as much, it's allowed me to be even more organized. So that's where the whole labeling the bags come from. Instagram has given me some ideas on that, attending NCT classes. And as you speak to more people, you kind of think, well, could I do that even better in my own life, and would it be suitable for what we want? And that's just where it all comes from, really. It's what we want to do and making it fun.
I think it's lovely to bring that amount of fun into it. And also, again, going back to how seriously it can be taken sometimes, and we can be very serious at birth as well, but being able to have that kind of sense of humor between the two of you and to have that shared sense of fun is also really important, because when Steph is in labor, being able to laugh now and again, or to smile now and again increases the oxytocin, the endorphins. It gets her diaphragm moving up and down. It helps put a little bit of pressure to help the surges be a bit more effective. So actually having that background of fun, and remember when, you can go back to those memories again and again. And it's also been proven now that when you're stressed during pregnancy, your baby feels that stress. And so the more kind of joy that Steph has, and the more sense of humor and fun stuff that Steph gets to take part in at that part in her pregnancy is also really important. So not only will you have a super intelligent baby, this baby's going to be fun and happy.
Hopefully, yes. I mean, I can't promise that. I can't promise Steph that I'll be the best birthing partner, and I can't promise her that her birth will be absolutely straightforward, or anything like that. But what I can promise is just having the knowledge of what I could potentially do to help. And if it helps, then great. And if it doesn't, then I'll have to leave that to the professionals who are there anyway.
Yeah, and ultimately nobody can promise her a straightforward birth. You can do plenty of things to firmly stack all of the odds in her favor, but nobody can ultimately have that guarantee. But I know for sure that you'll be giving it the very best that you can, and that's all that anybody can ask for at that point, isn't it?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, amazing. And what about your own family, James? Your parents growing up, or your aunts, uncles. Has anybody else been this involved in a baby's birth? Are you kind of leading the way for the new generation?
So before we decided to have a baby, I set us a goal. We decided as a couple to buy a house and build a more stable infrastructure around us within the year or two. And within that year, we achieved quite a lot. We bought a lovely house. Steph got pregnant, and now we're prepared for the next chapter of our lives. But part of that was deciding to remain close to family, because we knew that if we have a baby, we would want a support system or support network around us. So we're quite lucky in the sense that both of our families live in our area, and they're not really in your face either. They're not the type of family who has to know exactly what we're doing every day. They don't have to speak to us every day. Sometimes we can go weeks without speaking, but at the same time, we know they're just around the corner as well. So, and they really want to be involved. And I think it's really important for our child to be involved with our family, because it'll be their grandparents. I have 2 sisters and a brother. Steph has a brother and a sister who doesn't live in this country at the moment, but maybe in the future. So, and also you can see that I'm of Chinese origin. Whilst I was born in England and brought up in England and very Western, I still have that Chinese culture embedded there somewhere at a more deeper level. So I want our baby to have a solid foundation of knowledge around Chinese culture as well as Western culture too. So I think our family being around us is only going to be a positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like an amazing way to look at it as well, to be able to blend both sides of those cultures and allow your baby to grow up seeing and recognizing the benefits of both, because so often we might just, literally grow up in the culture that is around us, and then 20 years later have a major culture shock when you go somewhere else. I think always just having that blend is a beautiful thing, and it really honors and respects both sides, which, this baby is that perfect creation down the middle, isn't he or she? Absolutely. So James, if you had any advice for any first-time dads who at this point are nervous about even getting involved in any kind of antenatal care or antenatal classes, what would you say to them?
What would I say to them? Well, it depends, because I don't profess to have the only way of supporting your partner, and I don't profess to be an expert in it at all. I just find what works for us, and I feel like there's a logical reason that I can use to justify why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. But for me, it's about getting involved and supporting throughout, because we both decided to have this baby, and so it requires both of our efforts. Like I said, it depends on your relationship, your personality, your work-life balance, but everything around me has been me influencing it, not it influencing me. So an example would be, I've worked hard to where I've got to, but that's because I've set myself goals and targets, and one of those goals was to obtain more flexibility, which I do have now. It doesn't have to be something that just comes in as a bonus. You can aim and strive to have that. And our relationship is, I draw upon the positives of a relationship, and it's full of humor, it's full of affection, but it's also full of individuality and common interests as well. So, my personality is generally to be relaxed and positive about things, because I believe it's all going to work out well. But I'm not saying it works for everyone, but it works for me and it works for Steph. And like I said, I do things like cooking and making sure she has a balanced diet, organizing things, doing things together, prompting each other to get things done, but actually doing it as well, packing the birthing bags, labeling them. I think anything that makes things easier for Steph will only make things easier for me. So if you're another father out there, why wouldn't you want to make things easier for yourself? And that's probably, and because I do all this, I don't feel bad about wanting to have a night out or actually going to have a night out with my friends, or I play a lot of football. I have a lot of time to myself too. It's not just about us as a couple. And we've promised each other to keep our own individuality and our own identity after birth. And if she's true to her word, and allows me to do just that, I'm going to allow her to do just that. And that's enough for me, because then I feel like I'll have the best of both worlds then. So I do feel that being involved and being supportive is really important for dads, so that we all get the best out of our parenthood and all the nice experiences that go with it. And if you want that, then that's the advice I'm giving you. If you don't want that and you want something else, then I probably can't help you there.
I think what you say there is so important, because you're modeling to a child the kind of the healthy reality of having separate lives, but also lives that are together. Often I hear parents kind of joke about they're doing the kind of team tag where one comes in and then the other one goes out all the time. But the reality is that when you are still demonstrating the importance of kind of following up with your own interests and still making time for yourself, that's what your child picks up on. And often people will kind of say, oh, well, we'll do that when they're much older. But by the time they're much older, all they've seen is mum or dad glued to them or glued to work, or not expanding and exploring and being creative. So you really give your child that confidence as well when you have the ability to go out and do that. So one question which I have never mentioned to you before, but it's just come into my head, so I hope you don't mind me asking, if there was something that you would love for your little boy or girl to hear and see if they were watching this again in maybe 10 years time and they were looking back, what would you want to say to your son or your daughter right now?
Oh, that's a difficult
It's a
question. What
big
would I want
question.
to
Take your
say?
time.
Well, I would want to say, welcome to the world. And you're coming into a world where there will be lots of challenges, but we will be there. Your mum and dad will be there to help you along your way, and provide you with the guidance that you need, the mentoring, and we will provide an infrastructure and a support network around you so that you can grow to be the best person you could possibly be. And that's all we ask of you, is to be the best person you could possibly be.
And that's why you are the honourable father. You've got the perfect Instagram name on there as well. James, that's absolutely lovely. So lovely. And is there anything else that you would like to say or share just now?
Not really, unless you have any other questions. But thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you and meeting you. And I'm sure we'll cross paths again in the future.
Thank you. And I'm so just sending you and Steph all the love in the world for exactly the kind of safe, secure and loving birth experience that you would love to have. And I know that that baby is going to be in very safe hands, and that Steph is in very safe hands with you there by her side. So on behalf of all the other mums and dads in the world, thank you for doing that. I'd love to have you back in Steph's due in a couple of weeks. So let's say maybe a month or so, or a bit longer, depending on however long you need, just to share a bit more about the, not necessarily the details of the birth, but the feelings for you, and as much as Steph is happy for you to share, if you'd be willing to do that.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Beautiful. So I will make sure that I tag you underneath so that everybody has access to this. And James, thank you so much for doing everything you're doing to create more awareness and bring more dads and birth partners into the birthing space and the birthing world. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much.